I'm working as I'm speaking. Now you will hear from the Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in Akron, Ohio. I want to introduce first their pastor, Pastor Curtis A. Mentor. He's looking back to me. If I had a spotlight, I would put it on him. But he is a long friend of mine. Curtis and I grew up in the same neighborhood. We played football, I think, from the age of 7 together. And all of our lives, we have been great friends. He's been a mentor of mine in the ministry. I think he's been pastor in this church, Shiloh Church, for 25 years. And he is a very dynamic, awesome preacher. So I'm sure you will be blessed. But he's going to follow them right after they're done. Curtis will take the platform. He's going to share with us a message of worship. And I know that we're going to be blessed. So I'm going to step to the side and of course, take over. And the next voice you will hear after them is Curtis. Amen. Amen. Shalom. Praise God.
let's give God some praise. Amen. Come on, let's really give him some praise. He's worthy.
Yeah.
All the praise.
Yeah.
All the honor. Amen. We're privileged to be here. To the angel of this house and this great pastor, we thank you for such a gracious invitation by way of my childhood friend, Michael Martin. We shared some wonderful memories playing football, telephone pole to telephone pole. Amen. Just all the way up, and we thank God for him. We thank God for what he's doing in his life even right now. I'm grateful for all the Shiloh family. I'm so proud of the men. Let's give them another good hand. Amen. Great things can happen when you allow yourself to be used by God. Amen. So my task one tonight is just briefly to talk about worship. I've seen various expressions, and this is a great representation of the variable of what worship is. And so tonight, just briefly in a word of prayer, bow your heads with me as we proceed to try to expound upon this idea of worship. Father, we come tonight. Thank you for traveling mercies, for coming all the way to Akron, all those who are represented in this congregation tonight. We pray for three things. Pray for illumination, illustration, and articulation, that collectively we can make an application in and of our lives. We ask it now in the matchless name of Jesus the Christ. Amen. Amen. All right, those of you that have your Bibles, if you have them, let's turn to Psalms 27. We'll look at one verse. Psalm 27. This psalm has been credited to David. David was a good candidate to write songs. Anybody could write a song, address the context of their life. David was that individual. From fighting in the wilderness, protecting sheep, to beating up a giant, to soothing the heart of a wicked king, to being one who is transit on the run, to one who finds himself as being anointed to be a king, but holding his place until his time came. David would be a good candidate. If you look at Psalm 27, I want to look at one stanza, because this is a psalm. It says, "One thing I have asked of the Lord, this is what I desire, to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and seek him in his temple." What powerful words embodied by this writer, who is moved out of his life experience. Whether he's just escaped another attempt at his life, or maybe he's leading up to those prophetic words that God is a great shepherd, provider. Someone said it earlier in the worship. Worship is a lifestyle. It is not a necessarily vocal sound, but it is a lifestyle. Come on, man. And I don't care what hermeneutic you may come from, what your life past may have been. Wherever you meet God, it begins a song. Right. Your life becomes a devoted piece that God uses intricately in worshiping him. He thought you was worth it. He saw your value. Now, what's interesting about that, when we see God looking at us from that perspective, then it is God that stimulates us to respond back to him. Come on. Parthesis is a word that's combined with two words. You read the definition. If your teacher says that your term paper is handed in last week is a work of genius that sets a new gold standard for the school, he's telling you your work is the apotheosis term paper, the epitome of perfection. Come on, man. It's the best. Every paragraph, every period, every comma, semicolon, this paper is the standard for what this school stands for. But that's what you are. When we look in light of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and those who call upon his name who are saved, you become this great term. Come on. You become the epitome of what redemption is all about. Yes, he saved you to be a testimony. Now, worship, we can argue and we can deal with every term, and there are many of them throughout the Word of God. Elohim, God, is one of the terms that's used in Old Testament, and they begin to take the derivative Eli and El Shaddai and El Nisai and Jehovah Nisai and all the suffixes, and they all begin to talk about the attributes of God. We can talk about that for days. But you are the epitome. You are the epic presentation of God. So if God has recreated you to be the apex, everything in your existence worships him. What do you mean? Well, in that same sentence, put yourself there. If the Lord woke you up this morning, come on now, right? You're the epitome of God's greatness. His best expression, his excitement over your life, he allowed you to see another day. There's nothing better. You are the standard. You are the greatest representation of God's mercy and God's grace. And that's something to get excited about. See, you won't catch up until after next week sometime. But I dare you for a split second to look back over your life and where you've come from. Look how God brought you through many dangers, toils, and snares, through down experiences, through near-death experiences, through tore-up situations in your home, wayward children, and being in a secular world where nobody cares about your relationship with God. For him to wake you up, you are the greatest expression. You are the optimum expression of God's power. Jeremiah will refer to worship like this to him when it's stimulated. He says, like fire. Shut up. He said, I would holler when nobody wanted to hear me preach. How intimate is that? How personable is that kind of worship? Listen, David here in the text, if you go back and read the words, he says, one thing I desire. He says, I'm living for the moment that I can get back in your presence to tell you, thank you. For making me the best expression of your glory. I have to live long enough, trust you long enough, to get back to the temple to tell you, Lord, thank you. And so then worship becomes a quest. It is not something spurred up by the praise and worship leader. It does not happen in a set place. But if you open up your life, open up your eyes in the morning, your worship begins. David says, I'm longing. He says, my continence is hurting. I need to get back through all the dangers I've been through, all the toils, through all the heartache and disappointment. He says, I'm longing to get to this place, this temple. I have a desire to be there so I can dwell in your place. Because why? You are worship. And you're worthy to be praised. Let's understand. Worship is not praise. There's language in our church that says when the praises go up, blessings come down. Well, where are you sending your praises to if you don't understand worship? That's right. Who are you talking to? Who are you sending your praises to if you don't understand worship? Worship comes from this Latin word. He says, I look at the value of God. I see him high and lifted up. And then I begin to turn him so I can see all his actions. Why? Because when I begin to express him, I'm not ignorant in my praise. Come on now. I'm very clear. I'm certain that this God I serve is something extraordinary with my life. He didn't do it for you because you don't have my life. That's how personal it is. I can't worship God for what you've been through. I don't know your story. I don't know your testimony. But you know what? I know mine. Right. And that's enough to provoke me to look at his character. And begin to say, Lord, I got to look at you in a different perspective because today I see you merciful. Today I see you great. Today I see a provider, a sustainer. I see justice. I see forgiveness. I see mercy. And I'm just constantly turning it.
All right, all right.
And so then, worship then becomes not a laborious task out of a commandment. Yes, he does demand it. He wants to remind us and tell us who he is for our sake. But when you connect with God, it is not a laborious task to worship God.
All right.
It is like a love affair. And isn't it wonderful when you're in a love affair? You beat each other trying to be sweet, trying to be calm. You buy the choice presents. You go to the right restaurants. You get the best meals. You shop at the best places. Why? Because you got to go out of your way to top the one that's caught the eye of your affection. And so therefore, how much more do we do when we talk about worshiping God? You worship God when you're sick in bed and got to get up. When the odds are against you, you begin to worship because you recognize the fact that he opens up doors that no man can shut. So you will start worshiping him before he turns it on. You don't wait to worship. Worship is a spontaneous combustion that comes out in a cumulative of who God is and what he means to your life. So I hear the writer say, when I think about I don't like finishing that sentence because it's so much shooter, I might lose my composure. But when I think about that's my intellect, the goodness of the Lord. That's my sentiment in my heart. My soul then begins to express in worship, thank God for saving me. David said, I want to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. There's never a detachment from worship. It is continual. All the days of my life. Before you ask me to worship God, I've already started worshiping God. Come on now. Before you come to church, before you get into Sunday school class, and the teacher tells you to turn to page 96, you've been worshiping in your car. You've been worshiping in the bathroom, singing your favorite hymn, singing your favorite song. You worship on your job when they conspire against you and try to get you fired, but yet the Lord has made your enemies your footstool, so you worship him. And so we move from this expression that God is more than worship. He is a lifestyle. He produces a desire. He motivates our worship and our praise. And we lift him up high to examine all of his characteristics. See, that's why we're so docile, because we have not taken the time to investigate who God is. And so when we begin to investigate him like David said, I've had an encounter with him. And I'm going to get back to the place where I met him first. Come on, Reverend. And how long will it take me to get there? I don't care. As long as it takes, I'm worshiping that opportunity. And where? I want to worship him in the temple. Well, I hear Paul say in the New Testament, he says, you got a temple right here. I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. Why? Because he wants to worship in your temple. That's why I shout when everybody else is crying. That's why I'm optimistic when everybody else is pessimistic. That's how come I have joy in the midst of sadness. Why? Because what's happening down in my temple, I can't express it and say, hallelujah, thank God for saving me. I make myself ready for worship by cleansing my temple, because that's where he wants to dwell. And David says, I'm longing to be in the place with God, right where he is, in the temple, where his presence meets me,